I was taken in by the Wilson family. My job was to take care of James. He was distant, brilliant, and we never had much to say to each other. The first time he had a wet dream, I was the one who cleaned his sheets and underwear and explained the facts of life to him. The first time he had a girlfriend, I bought him condoms and told him to be safe. At 20, James was a top graduate and started his own company. I became his personal assistant, making good money and keeping my head down. In my 24 years with the Wilson family, I never once lost my composure in front of him. We kept out of each other's way, but that all came to a screeching halt the night he saw me at a gay bar. He asked me, "You're into guys?" His scrutinizing gaze felt like it could pierce right through me. I sent the guy I was with away. I opened the car door for James. "Mr. Wilson, I'll take you home." He got into the passenger seat, his eyes still burning into me. "You haven't answered my question." It wasn't that I was trying to hide it. When I first came to the Wilson family, he was their only precious son. He shouldered the responsibility of being the family heir, and I couldn't have him even entertaining the thought. Not even a flicker of curiosity was allowed. Thankfully, James never seemed that interested in sex. At 18, everyone around him started having sex. He had a brief relationship, but it ended quickly. "Not really my thing," he'd said. If I hadn't seen for myself how well endowed he was, that sentence would have been a hammer blow. It would have kept me up at night. If James was asexual, I'd be stuck with a label I could never escape. "Are you a top or a bottom?" James's question hit me, and I froze for a second. Everything he knew about sex I had taught him. His own sexual experience was basically a blank slate. His only relationship involved a single kiss. He had zero experience with women, let alone men. James was great at reading people. He stared at me intently. "Jenny, don't underestimate me. Answer the question." "Top." He let out a long, meaningful O and said, "I wouldn't have guessed." I gripped the steering wheel tighter and quietly sped up. "With a guy. Is it good?" As I got out of the car, James leaned on the open window and asked me. I gave him a professional answer, "It's fine." "So, not that good." James was great at twisting words. Besides work, we rarely talked about these things. Back when I bought him condoms, he'd asked me, "Have you ever done it?" I hadn't back then, so my conscience was clear. Right now, things were a bit trickier. James wasn't just my boss, he was the young man I'd been looking after since we were kids. After all these years, I still couldn't get a complete read on his moods. I stayed silent, and James pushed his luck. "Jenny, maybe you're better suited to be the bottom." No man could take a shot at his pride and keep a straight face. I frowned slightly. "Mr. Wilson, you should go home. Walk me up." I was about to refuse. He pressed a finger to his lips. "Shoo, I'm the boss. You have to listen to me. I've been drinking. I need help." I knew exactly how well James could hold his liquor. He could drink anyone under the table. He leaned his full weight on me, his boozy breath hitting the side of my neck. The skin there started to burn. It had been a long time since I'd gotten any release. James wasn't my type, but with him pressing against me, his lips brushing past me every so often, any guy would have reacted. After I unlocked the door, I turned away, flustered. "Jenny, you've got a hard-on." He called me out coldly, grabbing my wrist and pulling me inside, flipping on the entryway light. Completely exposed. I squeezed my eyes shut. He brushed my eyelashes, getting closer and closer. "Jenny, I'm pretty curious. Guys with guys, how does it work?" I swallowed hard, my hand on his chest. "James, that's not something you need to be concerned about." "Oh, but I am." He took my hand, rubbing the back of it. "Concerned about you. How are you going to take care of that tonight? By yourself or with a partner?" When James got curious about something, he had to have an answer. I regretted my impulsive decision to go to that gay bar tonight. What was harder to handle was James pressing his groin against mine. I pulled my hand back and opened the door to leave. He wrapped his arm around my waist. "Jenny, I want to try it with you." I took a deep breath, fighting against his grip. "I can find someone for you." "No." James's reply was short and to the point. He was about my height, but he managed to hoist me over his shoulder with one arm. We landed on the bed in a heap, his fingertips tracing my eyebrows and eyes. How did I never notice before how fair you are, like a girl? I shoved him off with all my strength and stumbled to my feet. James, that's enough. Jenny, I want you. I was getting agitated, rubbing my aching eyes. You're not into guys. It's my fault for giving you the wrong impression tonight. I'll be more careful from now on. He wasn't listening. He grabbed my hand and pressed it against his erection. Help me. You motherfucker. TSK, even your cursing is hot. James tapped his phone. It was midnight. 30 minutes isn't enough. Don't even think about leaving tonight. Hey, Mr. Wilson wants you to bring this in. Emily, holding a cup of coffee, pleaded with me with her big eyes. If I go in there again, this coffee is going to end up on me. I took it without changing my expression. As soon as I stepped inside, all the office blinds came down. What the hell is wrong with you? James took a sip from the cup in my hand, grinning. Is your hand still sore? James, it's working hours. A vein in my temple throbbed. It was like I was meeting him for the first time. The coldness was an act, the politeness a performance. The motherfucker was a total scumbag. My 30,000 suit was ruined, and I was too disgusted to even think about washing it. I just had to toss it. Hey, what's with that look? I need to talk to you about something serious. He gestured to his computer. Take a look at this. My work instincts took over, and I pushed the X-rated images from my mind, leaning in with a serious expression. The image of two men intertwined on the screen suddenly filled my vision. I clenched my jaw and turned my head away. James. A soft kiss landed on my lips. I froze. James licked his lips and closed the laptop. Jenny, I think it's a little disgusting. I stood up straight, silently relieved but also annoyed. My tone turned harsh. Of course it's disgusting. I told you you're not gay. You were just curious for a moment. I've taught you so many things. Last night was no different. I curved my lips into a smile. It's not the first time I've done something like that. Don't take it to heart. James narrowed his eyes. Jenny, that mouth of yours really shouldn't be used for talking. James had said before that he hated my mouth the most. The first time he had a wet dream, he caught me washing his underwear. His face turned red with anger, and he called me shameless. After I washed and dried them, I hung them right in the middle of the balcony. James, if you shout any louder, the whole family will know you're a man now. Me shameless? How come you never said that when I used to wash them for you? If you care so much about your pride, try to control yourself. James gave me the silent treatment for days. Later, when I caught him secretly washing his own underwear, I couldn't stop laughing. He cornered me in the bathroom. Shut up. If you laugh again, I'll shove them in your mouth. He really hadn't changed. James's gaze was deep as he pressed on my lips. Can't talk for shit, but your mouth is pretty soft. I shot him a warning glare. He cleared his throat. Pack your things when you get off work. You're staying at my place tonight. James, I told you, I said, struggling to stay calm so I wouldn't punch him in his handsome face. You're not interested in men. And even if you were, I could find someone for you. I'm your subordinate. We have a professional relationship. I'm not obligated to help you. James leaned back in his chair lazily. Jenny, what are you talking about? I don't understand. Stop playing dumb. Why do you want me to stay at your place? I'm not sleeping with you. James smirked knowingly. So, you want to sleep with me? Asshole. I turned to leave, but James wrapped his arms around my waist. We have a business trip. The flight is at 3 a.m. tomorrow. You and Emily are coming with me. My cheeks burned. I squeezed out a few words through my teeth. I can get there myself. You know how far you live from the airport. You won't get any sleep tonight if you try to make it from your place. Your place isn't that much closer. I pulled his hands off and he took the chance to squeeze my palm. I have a place near the airport. Goddamn rich people. I'm a light sleeper and can't handle all-nighters, so I didn't argue further. James slapped me on the lower back. I'll pick you up tonight. Jenny, focus on your work. Get your mind out of the gutter. Sitting back at my desk, I couldn't figure out how James had become this person. Just because he caught me with an escort? But when I remembered him saying it was disgusting, I felt a bit relieved. As long as he wasn't interested in men, that was all that mattered. If he came out, it would be the death of me. 3 years ago, James bought a piece of land at auction. Last year, after the paperwork was finalized, he contracted a construction company to build a 5-star hotel. The location was prime real estate, a surefire moneymaker. Just as it was nearing completion, a report was suddenly filed claiming the land was originally government property. Whether it was repossessed or we fought it in court, it would take a lot of time. For half a month straight, we were pulling strings and calling in favors. All our paperwork was legal and compliant, but the nature of this land was special. Even if the hotel was finished, we probably wouldn't be able to use it. Hundreds of millions right down the drain. James suspected someone was deliberately blocking him. In his frustration, he even called his dad. With his dad's help, things started moving a lot faster. James did the math. To get through all the procedures, it would still take a good 6 months. After working nonstop for over 2 weeks, all 3 of us were exhausted. The moment we could finally relax, Emily came down with a stomach bug. James and I took her to the hospital. It happened to be in her hometown, so her boyfriend came to take care of her. Watching her boyfriend patiently feed her spoonfuls of porridge, James suddenly said, "Do you remember when I was a kid and I was a picky eater? You were the one who had to coax me to eat?" The memory made me feel sick to my stomach. I'd never met a pickier eater than James. He wouldn't eat basic things like scallions, ginger, or garlic, not to mention common vegetables like potatoes, carrots, and greens. He wouldn't eat meat with a strong flavor, no organs, nothing sweet. The seasonings had to be precise or he wouldn't touch it. Back then, I was like an idiot using a kitchen scale every day before daring to put anything in his food. I'm not a picky eater anymore, Jenny. James put his arm around my shoulder. I'm all better. When did he get better? It was probably when he was 15, when his dad, who had sworn he'd never remarry, brought home a stepmom. The woman was only 5 years older than him. At 20, James wasn't just brilliant, he also had a newborn baby sister. Before calling his dad, he had chain smoked an entire pack of cigarettes. You couldn't say his dad didn't love him after all. He'd brought me into the family to take care of James since he was little. But you couldn't say he did love him either. Ever since he remarried, his dad never cared about James again. Just because that woman said James was an outsider, he made James move out. Now James is 22. I'm 4 years older. He's my young master, my boss, and also my little brother. James's sickness came on fast and hard. He was running a fever in the middle of the night, and I woke up from the heat of his body in my arms. "Jenny, I want porridge." I knew he didn't want to go to the hospital. I took off his clothes, gave him a sponge bath, and went downstairs to buy fever medicine. He was delirious from the fever, constantly calling my name, occasionally crying out for his mom. I made some plain rice porridge. When I tried to wake him, he hugged me and buried his head in my neck. "Jenny, Jenny, you're all I have." Hot tears streamed down into my shirt. My own eyes started to burn. At 15, he had a huge fight with his dad and got slapped across the face. "Your mom's been dead for years. I'm your father. Everything you have, I gave you. What right do you have to act out against me?" He hugged a photo of his late mother and sat there all night. No one knew what he was thinking that night. When I brought him food, his eyes were bloodshot. He ate while tears streamed down his face. Half the bowl of rice was soaked. He held me so tight it hurt. "Jenny, you're all I have." After being sick for a week straight, it was as if the pampered, spoiled James had died. My poor boy. I wiped his tears away. He couldn't get the porridge down. I had no choice but to pinch his jaw and feed it to him mouth to mouth, forcing him to swallow. After about half a bowl, James's eyes suddenly flew open. Just as I was about to pull back, he grabbed my waist and pushed me down beneath him. It was too hot. When I sleep with people, I never kiss them. Saliva dripped from my chin, and he kissed it all away. Then his mouth was on mine again. I couldn't speak. For a second, I thought I was going to suffocate. I saw my own reflection in James's eyes. Face and neck flushed red, eyes wet, a helpless look. "Jenny, this is the face you make when you're topping someone?" I dazedly wondered, what's wrong with my face? I'm 6'1". My features are well proportioned. My only flaw is being a little pale. How did that make me a girl in James's mouth? He tried to kiss me again, but I pushed his face away. Finish the porridge. He downed the rest in one gulp. I knew what he was going to do next. As I tried to get up, he pinned my hands above my head. This was insane. Things were spinning out of control. James, let me go. I was trapped under him. I tried to crawl to the edge of the bed, but he dragged me back. I want to. No. James lifted my shirt. Yes, you can. You've always had a soft spot for me. His whole body was burning up, and he called out my name clingily. Bro. All the fight went out of me. Bro, am I hot? I woke with a start. The sun was bright. James's face was buried in my neck, his limbs tangled around me. I tried to roll over and nearly cried out in pain. He was sleeping soundly. I remembered what he'd said last night. Bro, this pity play, how do you still fall for it? He was still sick, but his eyes were crystal clear. I slapped his face, not too hard, not too soft. Without opening his eyes, he grabbed my hand and kissed my wrist. Couldn't help but sneer. Men are animals who think with their dicks. That saying was absolutely true. No matter how disgusting he found it, his body was still honest. The 15-year-old James had been 60% sincere. The 22-year-old James was a master of deception, his lies sounding better than the truth. I gritted my teeth and cleaned myself up. James came into the bathroom, looked around, and hugged me from behind. I really can't go easy on you. Acting like nothing happened. He muttered, but his hands were busy. He saw the sarcastic smile on my face in the mirror and pulled his hands out of my robe. What's with that look? Was it good? He froze, the silence stretching as if he was replaying the whole thing. Yeah, it was good. Jenny, you got off too. I told you you're better suited to be the bottom. I tightened my robe. I didn't deny it. I've satisfied your curiosity for you. Mr. Wilson, this should be over now, right? His face turned ashen. He clenched his fists and didn't speak for a long time. Finally, he let out a short laugh. You taste good, Jenny. What if I've developed a taste for it? How about I keep you? You've had so many escorts. I'm at least cleaner than them. I leaned against the wall just to stay upright. But it's not like I'm asking for your opinion. You came to the Wilson family because of me. If I want to sleep with you, you lie down. Isn't that part of your duty, too? I smiled faintly. You pay me a high salary and you service me at night. If the boss is so eager to be a whore, I have no reason to refuse. He grabbed my face, so hard I thought my jaw was going to crack. Jenny, I should just fill that mouth of yours, so you can't say another word. James went crazy, fooling around with me in the bathroom. My head was spinning. I lay in bed all afternoon and ended up with a fever too. One business trip and we're both getting sick like it's a competition. James fed me medicine with a stone-cold face and used cool water to bring my temperature down. But he never shut his mouth. See what you get for provoking me? Wouldn't it be better if you just talked less? His voice drilled into my ear like a power tool. I dazedly slapped him. Why do you think I have a fever? If you hadn't been on top of me all night, would this have happened? James held his face, looking more wronged than I was. You only know how to bully me. Get out. I kicked him out of the bed. I woke up a few times, and each time he was slumped over the side of the bed. By evening, I was feeling much clearer. I saw the faint handprint on James's face and felt a pang of guilt. He was half asleep but reached out to feel my forehead. The fever's gone. I pushed his hand away. When are we going back? What's the rush? On trips, Emily and I always shared a room. Since she was in the hospital, James said he'd checked out of the room to save money. Being stuck here with him was driving me crazy. The sooner we went back, the sooner things could get back to normal. This was a whim for James. I didn't want to, and I couldn't play along with his nonsense. Jenny, I'm serious. Until I'm tired of this, you don't get to call it quits. You're with me now. You can't see anyone else. If I find out, I'll make your life a living hell. James threatened me viciously. I closed my eyes, feeling helpless. We were both responsible for what happened last night. I had been impulsive. I just hoped this young master would get bored quickly. It was like James knew what I was thinking. Not only did he refuse to let me have my way, He did the exact opposite of everything I wanted. His crude behavior and the semi-cohabitation I could tolerate. But after he moved my desk into his office, we had a full-blown fight in his private lounge. I had him pinned down by the throat, and he was laughing while coughing. Seriously, Jenny, aren't two guys just in it for the fun? Do you really think you're some delicate little flower? At home, you're on guard against me like I'm a thief. I have to get my dignity back at the office, don't I? James's smile was playful, but all I wanted to do was strangle him. He was always so good at keeping business and personal life separate. What kind of rumors were flying around the office now that he was being so blatant? Don't insult delicate little flowers. James, what the hell do you want? That woman at home is acting up again. Jenny, help me out. He lifted my hand and kissed it, and a chill went through me. Your brilliant idea is to come out of the closet. James's expression didn't change. Jenny, I found out something interesting. Do you know who's holding up that land deal? I instinctively avoided his gaze. James snorted and whispered in my ear. It was my dad. He grabbed his clothes, got dressed, and stood by the bed, staring at me coldly. What do you think he was thinking when I called him? Was he thinking how stupid I am, that I could never escape his control? My lips trembled involuntarily. James leaned in and cupped my chin. And you? What were you thinking? I trusted you more than anyone. When I found your call records with him, I honestly wanted to kill you. Taking my money while helping my dad spy on me. Jenny, you're really something else. James's lips brushed against my dry ones. So tell me, is there anything wrong with me collecting a little compensation from you? I didn't say anything. He kissed me fiercely. Watching his retreating, rigid back, I let out a silent breath. I didn't. He paused, and I finished my sentence. At least on this, I didn't. When Mr. Wilson adopted me, it was indeed so I could take care of James. He was very busy, and I had to report every detail of James's life to him. Later, he probably started seeing another woman on the side, something James didn't know about. Even now, James thinks his dad only ever fell for Sophia. Everything changed when he remarried. That hug when James was 15 was when I started to soften. But that was also when Mr. Wilson asked me to spy on James. At first, what I said was 70% true, 30% false. Then it became 50-50. By the time James started his own business and I went with him, whenever Mr. Wilson asked, it was 20% truth, 80% lies. Mr. Wilson knew, too. He didn't trust me, but he still called from time to time. Before the business trip, I got a call from him. He said, "It's time for James to get married." In that moment, I knew James would never get that piece of land. When he made that call to his dad, it wouldn't have mattered if I had tried to stop him or not. The outcome would have been the same. 6 months. If James didn't get married, his money would go down the drain, and his company would face a devastating blow. After work, James acted like nothing had happened. "Come home with me." He touched my sweaty hand. "What are you so nervous about? James, be mature. You know what you should and shouldn't say." On second thought, he wasn't that impulsive. This was probably just his way of telling Mr. Wilson that he knew I had been spying on him. But Mr. Wilson was not an easy man to fool. "Are you afraid he'll find out about us? There's nothing between us besides boss and subordinate." I stressed my words. "James, when you were little, I took care of you, every aspect, meticulously. Your dad brought me to this family. I can't defy him. If I really wanted to hurt you, if your dad really wanted to crush you, you never would have been able to start your company." "Jenny, you're defending him." James's eyes were red as he questioned me. "After what he did to me, you still dare to defend him?" I was silent for a moment. "Listen to him. Get married. Find someone from a comparable family. Only when you're strong enough that he can't bully you anymore will you be able to truly hold your head high." James slammed his fist on the steering wheel. I sighed, took his face in my hands, and kissed him. He said, "How could you do this to me? James, I raised you. Whether it's a debt of gratitude or a grudge, it should all be settled. When I was a teenager, I couldn't fight back. I'm 26 now." I poked his chest. "You're the one who can't leave me, not the other way around. You've been lying to me for so many years. James gripped my hand so tightly my whole arm started to go numb. You want to just walk away? Don't even think about it. His attitude was harsh, completely stubborn. I resign, he gets married, we go our separate ways. It was clearly the best outcome, but he had to be so obstinate. The way James stared at me made me squirm. My heart was in my throat all the way to the dinner table. Mr. Wilson's gaze kept drifting over to me, and I had to bite my lip to look back at him with a clear conscience. Mr. Wilson threw a stack of photos in front of James. Your stepmom has picked them out for you. Set a time to meet them. What's the rush? James flipped through them casually. If you're short on kids, have your woman give you another one. Beside him, Sophia's face instantly paled. She had given birth to a girl, which had already displeased Mr. Wilson. Later, when she was pregnant with their second child, they were fooling around, the baby was lost, and she could no longer conceive. Mr. Wilson felt guilty, treated her even better, and never mentioned the topic of children again. It's what your mother asked for before she died. James's hands immediately clenched into fists, the veins on his arms bulging as if they were about to burst. I frowned and grabbed his hand under the table. You still remember my mother? I thought you were so busy with this woman you'd completely forgotten about her. Mr. Wilson ignored his words, looking at me instead. Jenny, I'm putting you in charge of this. If he doesn't get married, you can say goodbye to your other hand. I'll probably never forget James's 15th year for the rest of my life. The kid was sobbing in my arms. Mr. Wilson's fatherly love had vanished. He was making me spy on him, and a family was completely shattered. James got sick, then suddenly disappeared without a trace. Mr. Wilson severed the tendons in my hand. That hand could never lift anything heavy again. James's tears soaked my palm until it was wrinkled. He said, "Bro, I'm sorry. I won't run away. I'll never run away again." Under the table, James suddenly grabbed my hand. He was trembling. I couldn't pull away. The table was dead silent. A long time passed before James finally let go. He's your man. Why are you threatening him? It's just marriage, right? I'll do it. My eyes burned. I looked up and met Sophia's gaze. At this point, I thought, whatever. When we got home, James pushed me against the wall in the entryway and kissed me, pouring all his emotions into that kiss. He was exceptionally volatile tonight. In the middle of the night, when he was fast asleep, I got out of bed and immediately collapsed on the floor. I froze for a moment, went to the bathroom to make sure there were no marks on my body, got dressed, and drove to see Mr. Wilson. I had seen this man be patient and loving with James. So to this day, I still can't understand why he was so cruel to James later. Mr. Wilson finished a cigarette and pulled a club as thick as a wrist from his drawer. You taught him that? He was just curious. It won't affect his marriage. Mr. Wilson stared at me for a moment. Clothes off. Kneel. A dozen hits later, I was lying on the floor, gasping for air. Mr. Wilson wiped the blood from the club and tossed my clothes to me. After he's married, you quit. Don't ever show your face to him again. He knew I wouldn't refuse, couldn't refuse. As the bodyguards outside dragged me away, I gasped for breath, coughing up a mouthful of blood before I could hear my own voice. Mr. Wilson, he's only 22. Let him go. If he behaves and gets married, I naturally won't touch him. Just before the door closed, I saw that the picture of James's mother was gone from the bookshelf. No matter how heartless Mr. Wilson was to James, he still cherished the bond of father and son. The frame on his desk was a constant reminder that that was his son. The picture was gone. I coughed up more blood, pushed the bodyguards away, and stumbled outside. Sophia was standing by my car, smoking. She said, "How pathetic. You're the Wilson family's dog, and you actually started lusting after your master. Mr. Wilson won't let you off easily." I lowered my eyes and smiled, unconcerned. Sophia pressed her hand on my steering wheel. "Don't let James get married. I can help you." I turned my head. Even in the darkness, her face was stunning, a face no man could refuse. Mr. Wilson was a full 20 years older than her, a powerful, wealthy, arrogant man who had seen everything. Yet he had fallen for Sophia. The undisguised desire and calculation on her face had no connection to the timid person at the dinner table today. She offered me a cigarette. I took it but didn't smoke. James getting married really offered her no benefit. If he was with a man, he would never have children. Without children, he would have no more ties to Mr. Wilson. James would never be able to get a foothold in this family again. You've been in this family for so long, building a utopia for James, keeping him naive. Do you regret it? The cigarette snapped in my hand. Sophia blew a puff of smoke in my face. When his mother got into that car accident, she was actually running off with another man. It's laughable, isn't it? Mr. Wilson maintains the image of a loving father in public, but in private, he probably wishes he could strangle James. Even without me, there would have been other women. I'm just the one who has the tightest grip on his heart. I put the broken cigarette in my mouth. I don't smoke, but I held back the urge to cough and took a heavy drag. Sophia moved her hand. I had a checkup last week. The doctor said it's still possible for me to get pregnant again. My mind went blank. She continued, if you get together with James, he can get that piece of land. You're a bit too confident. Confident? Sophia chuckled. Mr. Wilson gave me this confidence. Between James and me, he loves me more. I turned the key in the ignition. She frowned. Jenny, you have no reason to refuse. Her gaze was direct, as if to say, you like James, you should jump at the chance to be with him, no matter the cost. You're wrong. Those two words were practically shouted. The cigarette briefly made me forget the pain in my body. But the pain in my heart became even harder to control. It was early autumn, and I was wearing a cardigan. When James woke up, he stared at my pale face. When he reached over to hug me, I moved away. He looked at me, stunned. Last night, did I hurt you badly? I gave a faint mm. I'm sorry. He sat on the bed, helpless, and reached out again. I took his hand and kissed his forehead. Go to work. What about you, James? His eyes were fixed on me. I turned my face away. I'm gonna meet the person Sophia picked out for you. He let go of my hand and silently got dressed, brushed his teeth, and ate breakfast. He glanced at me several times. Sometimes I would look back. Sometimes I didn't dare, just staring blankly at the floor. I was zoned out for too long. He suddenly hugged me, and my reaction was so strong I pushed him to the ground. James didn't get mad. He knelt on one knee holding my hand. He said, Jenny, I don't want to get married. You said you're 26, you can leave me, you don't have to listen to my dad. Worst case, I'll give up the land, I'll give up the company, I'll find a normal job. I won't fight him. We can live our own lives from now on. James's eyes were pleading. Jenny, I'll protect you this time. Stay with me. Don't leave me. Okay? How could James possibly be content with a normal job, becoming a normal person? And how could he be content to live under his father's control for the rest of his life? Even if he was, I wasn't. James asked, but then didn't wait for an answer. I didn't see him for days. He was avoiding me. I had a faint sense of his feelings for me, but it was so unbelievable that I refused to believe it. This suppressed emotion was no less intense than when I realized that all the guys I'd hooked up with had a shadow of James in them. Sophia had her reservations. The best candidate among the photos was only on par with James. For Mr. Wilson, as long as James got married, he didn't care to whom. Out of 30 people, after much deliberation, there was only one who was worth a try. You like this type? Big eyes, round face, dimples. James had been standing behind me for who knows how long, bent over and glaring at me with a mournful expression. What nonsense are you talking? I slapped the back of his head. I'm 100% gay. He said in a muffled voice, I'm not. I pulled my hand back. Of course I know you're not. James took off his shirt and headed for the bathroom. He'd lost weight. I irritably grabbed a cigarette and stuck it in my mouth, my words muffled. Wanna go meet her? He turned around, staring at me with such resentment it made my heart pound. Sure. Why don't you just book the hotel room for us, too? You can't wait for me to get married so you can get out of here. Can you? James slammed the door. The sound of the shower started, reminding me of our time fooling around in the bathroom. The thought that this person would no longer belong to me. My heart suddenly clenched with a sharp pain. I rubbed my face, glanced at the photo on the computer screen, and forcefully clicked the X to close it. The next day, James brought up the meeting himself. I helped him with his tie, avoiding his kisses. I'm doing what you want. Why are you still unhappy? This is good. She's the one you chose, of course she's good. When we get married, you can sit at the head table. Our kids will even have to call you Godfather. I paused. The tightness in my chest hadn't eased since last night. We didn't say a word the whole way there. After James parked the car, he turned my face toward him. You're always like this. You're the one who did something wrong, but you refused to say a single soft word. He waited for several minutes, then got out of the car, still holding my hand tightly. I saw the girl sitting in the restaurant, and no matter how much I didn't want to admit it, she and James were a good match. Together, they could achieve mutual success. Remembering the missing photo frame on Mr. Wilson's bookshelf, I pulled my hand away. Jenny, do you really want me to get married? If you nod this time, I'll really believe it. I won't back down for you again. James grabbed my hand again. Just shake your head and we'll go home. I was at war with myself. He let go of me. I stood at the entrance, watching James with a faint smile on his face. The girl used a napkin to wipe his mouth. He instinctively leaned back, but when he saw I was still there, he stayed silent and didn't move. The napkin was replaced by her hand. He grabbed the girl's wrist. From my angle, it looked like they were kissing. I turned and walked away, cursing under my breath. I was the one who sent him there. What was I so angry about? I drank at a bar for 2 hours, and James didn't call once. I wanted to go back and find him several times, but I forced myself to wait. Then I got a text on my phone with a hotel booking confirmation. That bastard James had used my card. I stared at the message, grinding my teeth in frustration. Just as I stood up, a guy sitting next to me bumped into me. Hey man, take me with you. It was the guy from the gay bar, the one I'd sent away when James found me. I rubbed my temples. This wasn't even a gay bar. He smiled. Bro, I work here. We didn't get to talk much that night, and I hadn't even paid him. I pushed him away gently and pulled all the cash out of my wallet and stuffed it in his hand. He carefully put it away. I was about to leave when he wrapped his arms around my neck and kissed me on the lips. Bro, I like you. Take me home with you. I froze, watching as James appeared out of nowhere and threw the guy off me. You're filthy, you're so filthy. The showerhead was blasting water in my face. I wiped the water from my eyes. What's your problem? James's eyes were completely red. How dare you let someone else kiss you? You're about to get married. What's wrong with me finding someone else? The alcohol was talking and I was saying things I shouldn't. I was just meeting her. Having dinner. You're the one who forced me to go. How could you do this to me? James grabbed my shoulders hard, wiping his eyes fiercely with the back of his hand. My heart ached with his, but I couldn't stop my harsh words. Oh, then hurry up and get married. I'm already sick of you. What did you say? James threw a punch. The force of it rustled the hair by my ear. It grazed my cheek, a sharp pain I couldn't ignore. I slapped him back. Are you sober now? He looked completely lost. You're sick of me? How can you treat me like this? James roared at me. You were the one who lied to me first, and now you want me to get married. You're the one in the wrong, but you're yelling louder than me, and you hit me. How can you do this to me? Tears suddenly streamed down James's face. He pressed me against the cold bathroom counter, and I shivered. James bit my Adam's apple. Then he bit down hard on my shoulder. You don't like me. You're always so arrogant, so impatient when you talk to me. Like I owe you money. My dad brought you home. Why are you blaming me? When I was little, you'd laugh whenever I cried. I know you were mocking me inside. Only that one time when I was 15, you showed some compassion. You don't like me, and I don't want to like you either. I hate you more than anyone, Jenny. He held my waist in a death grip, and the alcohol completely wore off. Listening to his accusations, I couldn't help but run my hands through his hair. Oh my boy, I thought about what Sophia said. Do you regret it? I still don't. At least he can still cry and laugh and get angry. I couldn't bear to let him see the ugly things. But I just can't control it. James nibbled on my lip. I still like you. I only want to marry you. All his talk of disgusting and his pity play couldn't stand up to those words. I bit him back hard. James unleashed all his anger in his movements. You're sick of me. I was lying. You're going to leave me. I won't leave. I held his head and kissed him. I'm going to watch you crush your dad under your heel. Then why did you make me get married? He accused in a low voice, but his force made my body tremble. Marry me. Fuck it. The man I raised should be mine. I'll get him back for this sooner or later. James looked at the wounds on my back and clenched his teeth. How much else have you hidden from me? I rubbed my nose, turning over guiltily. The most important thing right now was to get that piece of land. If James found out that Sophia had been whispering in his father's ear, he'd probably throw it all away in a fit of rage. Some things were better for him not to know, so he wouldn't have that burden. I could carry it for him. The fact that Sophia could get pregnant again diverted a lot of Mr. Wilson's attention. When news that James and I were together reached him, he didn't make a move. This worried James for a while, and he wouldn't let me be more than 3 steps away from him. James is smart, a born businessman, but in some things, it's not so much naivete as it is being slow on the uptake. And Mr. Wilson truly did love Sophia more. The hotel was completed successfully. I couldn't say no to James and willingly topped for him once. What did you hide from me? He asked me when I was on the edge. At this point, there was no need to hide it anymore. After James heard, I was ready to comfort him, but his smile turned cold. Then why did you want me to get married? This brought up another secret. I turned my head to kiss him, but he held me back. None of that. How long are you going to lie to me? Every time you achieve a goal, I'll tell you one thing. James set a 3-year goal for himself. Realistically, being able to hold his own against Mr. Wilson in 3 years, free from his threats, was the best-case scenario. The first 2 years were especially crucial. Not long after James secured the land, Sophia got pregnant. All of Mr. Wilson's attention shifted to this unborn heir. As for James, he didn't even give him a second thought. The two of us practically lived at the office for 6 months. When we finally got a break, James brought it up again. You're doing it again. You bastard. I'm not a kid anymore. James didn't press further. I held him, thinking, I'll tell him about his mother in a couple of years. Sophia gave birth to a boy. James had little reaction. He had grown rapidly in the past year. Without Mr. Wilson's suppression, his business had expanded significantly. He even snatched several deals from Mr. Wilson. You've grown up. Mr. Wilson's gaze shifted from our joined hands to James's face, staring for a long time. If you had grown up to look more and more like your mother, you wouldn't have lived to see today. I would have strangled you long ago. James shot back coldly. You have no right to mention my mother. Mr. Wilson looked at me again and smiled. Before your mother died, she begged me not to take it out on you. You being with a man is her karma. James's palms were covered in sweat. His mother was his emotional anchor. For years, he couldn't sleep without holding her picture. I didn't know how to tell him about this. Should I say that his mother didn't love him that much, that she fell in love with another man, so much so that she was willing to run away with him? Or should I tell him that his father really did try to strangle him, and that he only survived because I pushed him away? The last straw that breaks the camel's back is always a light one. I hid it from James. From his perspective, it was unfair of me. But now that it was actually out in the open, his reaction was surprisingly calm. I see. He threw the photo frame from his desk into the trash. I went to hug him, but he pushed me away. I want to be alone. He stayed in the study all night. I barely slept a wink. It felt like I had just closed my eyes when the sun came up. James was slumped over the side of the bed, his eyes bloodshot. Get up here. I opened my arms. Let me comfort you. James hugged me without a word. He must resent me. He bit my collarbone. He whispered, you liar. You raised me to be an idiot. And I went to show off in front of him. He must think I'm so stupid. How are you an idiot? I kissed the stubble on his chin. I raised you to be the man I like. Tears streamed down James's face. He wouldn't let me see. I thought about our past fights and silent treatments. This was more serious. He'd probably give me the cold shoulder for a week. Last time, I hugged his newly hired employee, and he slept on the couch for 2 straight days, refusing to let me hold him. Well, comfort me then. James buried his face in my neck, biting my skin. You're all talk and no action. Who says? I rolled over on top of him, kissing my way down, pulling at his pajama pants. Baby, I was wrong. Let me make you feel good, okay? James was dead set on destroying his dad. Before, he was selective about which businesses to poach. Now, he was taking everything he could get his hands on. Mr. Wilson was throwing a first birthday party for his son. James swaggered in and stole his business partners right from under his nose. Mr. Wilson was practically seeing red. He no longer had the power to put James in his place. He sent Sophia away with the baby, then finally met James's gaze. Did I raise you just so you could come and collect debts? This is what you owe me. Why don't you talk about what your mother owed me? You can go settle that with her in the afterlife. Your debt to me, I'm gonna settle it while you're still alive. The face of Mr. Wilson, a man whose emotions were usually unreadable, changed. I fed you, I clothed you. Not strangling you was a mercy. Jenny was the one who raised me. You severed the tendons in his hand, broke 2 of his ribs. I'll remember that for the rest of my life. James said word by word. After I turned 18, I never spent another cent of your money. The day you kicked me out of the house, we were done. Mr. Wilson sneered. I should have crushed you a few years ago so you could never recover. Too late. James smiled. All feeling for his biological father was gone. You didn't crush me then, so don't even think about it now. If you dare touch another hair on Jenny's head, I'll make your son pay your debts. Having a son meant having a weakness. Watching Mr. Wilson stand there speechless, James emotionlessly took my hand and walked away. There was a time when Mr. Wilson had been threatened, too. James's first business venture failed. He was heavily in debt. The creditors demanded Mr. Wilson pay 10 times the amount, or they would break James's legs. Over the phone, Mr. Wilson had only said 2 words. Do whatever. I gave James the money I had saved up over more than a decade with the Wilson family to cover his losses. At the time, he said, "Bro, I'll take care of you when I'm older." There was no need for him to take care of me. Just tormenting me a little less in bed would be enough. After being with me for so long, James could guess my thoughts with perfect accuracy. He pushed me against the car. From now on, if you make me mad, I'll take it out on his son. How is it my fault again if you get mad? Who else's? James sounded incredibly wronged. When I get mad, you just get madder and yell at me. My heart was about to soften, but then I thought again and snapped. Cut the crap. If you tie me up again, you're sleeping on the couch. James got up regretfully. If we don't have fun while we're young, you'll be too old to play later. I kicked him in the leg. Your bro is almost 30. I'd like to live a few more years. I shut up as soon as I said it. James was predictably angry. I sighed and tried to soothe him. I'll live a long life. You'll die first, okay? He glared at me. Shut up. I've got handling James down to a science. But I still fall for his tricks every time. When I found my hands tied to the headboard again, I resigned myself to my fate. You can't lie to me anymore. You have to love me with all your heart. And you? I asked out of habit. He squeezed my waist hard. I already love you with all my heart. I closed my eyes and couldn't help but smile. Okay.